Hey, you caught me. This is a Fern Between Us. Welcome to a Fern Between Us. I've never done this part.
You're doing great so far.
This is Michelle's part. All right, so welcome to a Fern Between Us, the emotional sanitizer show. We are two of the four owners of Vivac Winery. I'm Jesse.
I'm Chris.
And here we go. We got something a little different today. Michelle and Denali are out of town doing their own thing. So I got a guest of my own on here.
They got a break.
They got a break.
So we're here to screw this show up, I guess.
We're gonna mess it up real good, I think. Yep. Well, let's see what's going on. Tell us about what you've been doing, what you were doing today. I see you got some sun.
Yes, I did. Today was a great day. Ask me why today was a great day.
Why was today a great day, Chris?
Every day in the vineyard is a great day. Okay, just to start with, we were outside all day, as you can see. Lobster boy here. No hat on, of course. It felt great. Lots of sun, but let me tell you, it wasn't just any normal day in the vineyard. This was very, very exciting. We, as many of you may know, we're adding on another acre and a half or so onto the 1725 vineyard, which is the vineyard next to the tasting room. And it's on that upper section. And we have finally gotten to the point with the trellis system where we're running water, and we ran the water and started installing drippers and sprinklers for the first time today.
Yeah.
Put it there, right there.
Yeah, no, it's good times out there.
Oh man, it was fabulous seeing just the water fall down on the desert, you know, and
on the desert.
Oh
exactly.
Man, let me tell you something else.
Tell them something. Tell them like it is, Chris.
Tell them something else about today's day. No, it was hilarious. It was like Milagro Beanfield War, when Jose Mondragon finally decides to go ahead and plant his father's bean field, even though he's not supposed to. And me and Jesse and Francisco were out there, and we're like throwing water all over the earth, you know, even though like maybe we were not supposed to. I don't know, you know. I don't know. And people just stopped. Everybody was stopping. Yeah. Neighbors were stopping by. Wine club members were stopping by.
We couldn't get anything done. It was crazy.
Looky-loos. People were calling, saying, "What are you doing out there in the vineyard?" I mean, it was crazy. It was really funny. So yeah, it felt great, and that's of course how I got so red.
And I'm red too. I was actually out there as well, but I've made it accustomed to start wearing a little makeup, so I'm more blended out, so I would be lobstered up as well, but so there you have it. Burying all our secrets here.
I came home and my son says, "Hey man, let's go for a bike ride." And I was like, "No, I gotta go do this show, the wine show, you know." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And my daughter, she goes, "You're gonna be on the wine show? Are you going to go on looking like an Arizona tennis player?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?"
What does that mean?
And what I finally figured out what she meant is that I'm just like beet red and sweaty from being outside all day.
An Arizona tennis player.
Yeah, like is it a sweaty red sweaty bastard that I am? And she thought that was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious. She said Arizona tennis player, man.
If any of you all out there are Arizona tennis players, please let us know if that's like if that's a thing. and does Chris look like one right now? This is awesome.
I don't think
there's no shade in a tennis court ever.
Dude, tennis players in Arizona don't get red and don't sweat.
Oh, you know why? Because they probably play tennis at 4 a.m.
Or indoor.
And the air conditioning. They've mastered air conditioning. They're not dumb like us, going out on July 13th in the middle of the afternoon to play tennis for the first time in a decade.
True that.
All right, well, what are you drinking today and why?
This is a rosé of Sangiovese. It's a 2020, and it tastes absolutely delicious. Why would be...
It's refreshing after a long day in the sun?
You got it, bro. It takes away that Arizona tennis player thing, just takes that right out and just settles you in,
Makes you feel like a raft guide in New Mexico or something.
Correct.
Still
Yes,
red,
sir.
but feeling good about it.
I get laughed at by your daughter about it.
That's awesome. All right, well, let's jump into questions. We have a few here, which is going to be fun today. Not your typical questions on some ways. I guess I'm going to be the interviewer, and Chris is going to be more or less the interviewee, and then I'll jump in to interrupt him and disagree with him and stuff like that. Does that sound good?
Perfect.
All right. How did you decide on the name Vivác?
Deciding on the name Vivac. Well, I remember it. It was well. First off, we wanted a short name, and we wanted it to be strong name, and something that refers to where we are, like high altitude, and and being that it means high altitude refuge, we thought it was fitting. It was kind of we were looking through the dictionary, I remember, and we were looking at different derivatives of life, the word life, in different languages, Spanish, French, Portuguese, and we found the word Vivac, and it was provocative. It sounded like that would fit the bill. It sounded like something that people would remember, and we're probably wrong in all these things, but
Right.
but yeah, it stuck. That's the way I remember. What do you remember from that?
Yeah, a lot like that. We liked. Yeah, we were looking. We had a list. I remember we had a list, and always putting stuff on it, and nobody we ever knew that spoke Spanish knew about this word, which was kind of a trip. But there it was in my my Spanish to Spanish dictionary that I had for college or whatever, and it's like a full-on regular dictionary, but in the Spanish language, and we found that word, and we're like, dude, that's kind of cool and kind of dead on. I wish it were more straightforward how to pronounce it. It seemed like it to me, but people don't know how to pronounce it very often. So.
No, people like to say the best one. The one that people like to say the most is Vivac. Oh, it's Vivac Winery. I even have good friends that tell me, "Oh yeah, no, yeah, it's my mom tries to call it Vivac the other day, and I had to correct her. I told her it was Vivac." And I'm like, no, wait, what? Oh, no, she had it right.
She had it right. You got it wrong.
You got it wrong, buddy. No, yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, and I didn't see that one coming. But other than that, I love the name. I love the way it looks. I don't know.
All right. The way it looks is it's very powerful with the V's and the accent, and it's
yeah.
I think it was a good decision.
I agree. Number 2.
Yes, sir.
Which one would you? Which one of us would survive the zombie apocalypse? What do you think?
Zombie apocalypse. Well, you have the hunting guns,
right?
That helps.
But the muzzle loader's a little slow for a horde of hungry zombies. I would think I don't know.
I've got lots of paintball guns and machetes.
Machetes work,
and
what I've seen.
Motorcycles. I got lots of dirt bikes and stuff. Me and the boy and the girl could probably get on our bikes and cruise, but then that would leave my wife to die. I don't know. Out of the two of us, maybe it'd be me and the kids and you. I don't know.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't know how. I guess I don't really have you're right. I do have more guns or gunness, but the kind of shooting I can sort of do, not very well, but even that. But the kind of shooting I can sort of do is a ways away and one bullet at a time. And I think you really want kind of semi-automatic, just boom, 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 for zombies.
If they're getting at who's in better shape to run away from the zombies,
that's you.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's me right now. I think we can both run long distances generally, but we both run them very slowly. So maybe it's quickly enough to get away from the slower zombies, Yeah,
as long as they're not World War Z zombies, we'll probably we'll outrun them. And then what about survival, like food, you set up a a zombie-free zone, but you have to make all your own food and stuff like that.
Make fire,
Make
kill
fire,
a rabbit, that kind of thing.
grow a potato. You know?
I think we're probably both equal on those ones. We can both know how to grow stuff. We're pretty smart, both of us, I think, with those kind of deals. I wouldn't slight you on that one.
Similar strengths and weaknesses, I'd say. So it's a toss-up who would survive it better.
Yeah, I guess who was less hungover that day?
Who got luckier? Didn't open the door like, duh, boom, All right.
Good call.
Next question. Where do you hope the winery will be in 20 years?
20 years. Wow. That's a great question. I don't have huge aspirations to see it grow 10 times its size or do anything crazy like that. I actually see us leveling off maybe at just double the size it is now, possibly somewhere around 10,000 cases. I really, really hope that family gets involved, meaning kids, our kids get involved and become interested and decide to jump in, one or all three or however it works out, and decide that they like Dixon and want to live here and want to work at the winery with us. I don't know. It's a long shot. It could happen.
Right.
What else do I hope to see? I hope to see it. We finally have everything planted and finally have the facility we want. I would hope that that's all there by 20 years from now. I think it will be. Well, how about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think, however, at this point, we feel like it's successful. So, I don't want it to go down in size or money wise, much at all at this point, because we're kind of just above the point where things start getting tight if we bring in less money. But I don't care if it grows exponentially. I'm kind of hoping it doesn't. I kind of want something manageable. I want to keep taking our months-long vacations and maybe even extend those vacations a little longer. If we grew a little bit, then we could maybe afford enough people on the back end and the front end to help us out a little more. And that way the couple that's here in Dixon, as the hands-on managers at the time can maybe take a step back, and maybe they're not working quite as hard while the other couple's gone. I don't know.
Things that might make it easier.
A little bit of growth and a lot more equipment, and the big winery, the winery/tasting room all in one building is actually the goal.
That would be sweet.
And but we vowed not to take out any more major financing a number of years ago, because we were just way too in debt and we didn't like it, and we were beholden to, like, if we got a bad couple months, it was the checkbook was tight. And people didn't get paid on time sometimes on the worst case scenarios or whatever. So I don't know.
Or get paid at all. Or you imagine that?
We've always paid our bills. It just
I thought you meant actual people
right.
like me and you.
Right? Yeah. Maybe we didn't get us and our wives. Maybe we didn't get paid very often or sometimes.
No. Yeah. Let me. I don't want to put out the wrong idea. We do pay our bills. Everything's fine. We always have. But it's been there were many tight years there, and I think we learned some pretty big lessons there, and really have a focus on making sure that everything we do is economically viable, because we remember that lesson so well. Wasn't. I mean, it was fun. We're making wine and growing grapes and stuff, and doing every once in a while have to do odd jobs on the side, but it was also touch and go with the checkbook there. I mean, a solid 12, 13 years of that. So
exactly.
Anyway, exactly. We're on the other side of that now, so it's all good.
I couldn't agree more. All right, let's see. We're rocketing right through. Question number 4. Have we ever had a disagreement about making a specific wine? Oh, okay. That's different than disagreement in general. Disagreement about making a specific wine, and then how did we resolve it?
Well, I can remember one specifically, and maybe if you think of another one, then we could talk about 2 different wines that we disagreed on. I've always really liked Pinot Noir It's one of those grapes that we can't quite grow up here so far. We haven't found one that we can grow. We might be able to, and if we do, we'll start growing our own. But so in other words, we'd have to buy the grapes from Palo down in Deming, which is still high altitude and still New Mexico and all 100% and all the stuff. But it was just it's not as fresh, so we have to truck it up here and then crush it immediately when it gets here. Like a lot of the varieties that we have to do that with, and it seemed to be one that was prone to have problems, and it would go bad right after fermentation, or it wouldn't, or it would go bad in the barrels, it'd start getting VA in the barrels, and we'd have to throw it out or throw half of it out or whatever, and it was awful, and that happened a couple times, but then we'd have one that we had one that was really good. Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? I think that one needs to be one we make every year. And Jesse was like, no, it always goes bad. Remember, it sucks, man. That one's terrible. Let's not use that one. I'm like, yeah, but taste this. And when it works out, it's such magic. And it's like, it's hard to pass up it's just so tempting to try to like that grape. Like I'm smarter than that grape, and I know I can make it good, and I know we can do a good job and make this well. And Jesse was kind of saying, you know what, we're putting too much emphasis on Pinot Noir, and maybe we should just drop it, or maybe we should just make it every third year or something, and not try to make it one of our staples. So how do we resolve that? I guess it's somewhere in between right now. It's not actually a staple, but it's more often than every other year. We make it, 2/3 of the time, I would say. So I guess we sort of, what do we do? What do you call that?
Compromise?
We compromised. We compromised and figured it out, and you know what? And we're both still right. It still goes bad in the barrel, and it also makes a really good wine. Yeah, every once in a while too. So
I think we need to. Well, we're getting a new press this year, and that's going to help reduce on the on the spoilage organisms, especially in those tricky varietals like that. So I think that's going to be good. I also think our whites are going to end up even better than they've ever been. Disagreement about a specific winemaking, like the blending. We usually we agree on, like just pretty much across the board. I mean, 5% here or there, one way or the other, but we're both willing to give, so sometimes I'm like, I'd really like to see it like that, and you're like, all right, cool, and sometimes you're like, I think that one's the better one. I say, okay, cool, even if you felt different or I felt different or whatever.
It's probably 90% of the time I think we walk away from a tasting, come back, and we compare notes, and they're dead on.
Yeah.
So it's like when you get down to the last 10%, you're just splitting hairs, really, that both those options are actually
correct,
right? So therefore, why not just give in if somebody feels away, like a little, strongly about one or the other blend.
And then other things, like there's times that I've made a mistake or that Chris has made a mistake, and of course the other one disagrees with that, right? But it was a mistake, so I disagree with my mistake as well, so that's not really a disagreement. Let's see. I can't think of disagreeing that often. We usually just talk about it, make a plan, and then kind of stick to it, right? I don't know.
Like for example, with rosés, like so we have this rosé of Sangiovese, for example, and then Jess and his lovely wife went off to Eastern Europe, and they were drinking all these amazing whites and rosés, right?
I'm going to say we had this lovely rosé.
And, it's over. And then, and so Jesse comes back, and he's like, dude, you gotta try these wines. And he brought a bunch of wines back. We were trying the wines, and then, but one of the biggest ones he said right off the bat was they use Cabernet Sauvignon over there, but they don't make a red out of it. They make a rosé out of their Cabernet Sauvignon. And I was like, what? two dry rosés? And he was like, yep. And I was like, all right, I'm in. I mean, it wasn't more,
Right.
it wasn't, it wasn't more a disagreement per se, but it was,
Off what or so, almost not. Or
no, I think you talked me into it.
I was resolved, and you were like, just seeing my resolve said, okay.
Well, I also tasted it.
Oh, right.
And it was like, holy smokes!
Right.
What Cabernet Sauvignon can bring to a rosé is like incredible, and
Yeah.
it's not ever done anywhere in our wine growing, in our France and in America and
It's not a tradition somewhere necessarily that we know of.
not a tradition in a place that we
Yeah.
that we know of,
Right.
but this is Eastern Europe, it's huge wine regions that we have no clue, right? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was. I don't want, once again, I don't want to say it was a disagreement. It was just we talk each other into stuff. It's like this is a great idea, and of course it was. It's an outstanding idea. Rosé of Cabernet sells out so fast.
Yeah, we may just add another one to our list someday.
Why not? And a sparkling one too.
And a sparkling one too, which would be great. I think we beat that one over the head pretty good.
Yeah,
right?
let's move on to the next one.
All right. Why make wine? Why not beer or booze? Good questions.
Why make wine? Why not beer or booze? I've got the answer to that question.
Is there one answer?
Yeah.
All right.
I like beer, and I like whiskeys, and I like gins like crazy. Actually, I like all three. I every day drink, probably one of those three.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not a strictly wine diet for me at the Chris Padberg household. but I will tell you. Well, I'll tell you a little story first. I have a friend. We have a friend named Mark Matheson who has owned wineries in New Mexico before. He's worked at almost every winery in New Mexico. He's a brilliant man, and he's a great scientist and a wonderful winemaker. And we went to him one time in the early days because we were consulting him about some of our wines and what we should do and how we should deal with some of the chemistry that we're
part of our ongoing education. We always like to educate ourselves, and if there's something we don't know, we'll either find it in a book or find somebody that knows the answer. And early on, we hired him to come out as a winemaking consultant, like several times, 3 or 4 maybe, I don't know, just because he had like a depth of knowledge base.
He did, and I went to him, and at that time he was actually working at a brewery because there's a lot of chemistry that's similar in brewing, and he's not he doesn't just stick with one thing. He knows all kinds of stuff. So I was like, oh man, you're working at a brewery right now, no joke. I mean, it's like we just started this winery. Are we screwing up? Are we doing the wrong thing? And he said, oh no way, bro. Absolutely not. I mean, winery is exactly where it's at. And he didn't explain it. He just said that basically. And then after continuing our education and keep going on everything, I realized what he wasn't saying and the rest of it. And that's that there's 5,000 different varietals of vinifera.
Right.
And there are so many options with wine, and there's so many different little things you can do differently, and you can treat something this way, or you can mess with the temperatures, you can mess with the oak, you can mess with, there's so many different slight adjustments that you can make, depending on which grapes you get and what they're looking like and what they want to do, that you can really, it's an infinite number of possibilities of what you can do to help that wine be what it wants to be and glow the best way it can. And it's like that you can't compare that. You can't compare that with any kind of whiskey or any kind of beer. I mean, it's like you only have a few options.
Right. Yeah. I mean, with beer, there's 12 kinds of beer, and there's 5,000 different varietals of winemaking grapes.
That's right.
So, yeah, that's a good point. It's a much more diverse, and then organoleptically. That's a big word. Wine has up to 10,000 different stereoisomers, flavor compounds that you can taste readily in. It's the most complex food that there is. Beer or like your favorite duck confit or whatever. You're talking like maybe 500 different, of these chemical compounds that make up the flavor and taste and smell.
Cheerios has 2.
Oats and hearts. No. They've got oats though.
There's 2 flavors in that. I love Cheerios.
It's a regular or honey nut. And just
not very complex. So I hate to tell you.
And then booze is like you can make your base alcohol out of any fruit or any grain or potatoes, anything that you can harvest to make either carbohydrates or sugar can be fermented like we do wine and beer, and then you distill that, and that makes up the whole entire array of different boozes that there are. Fun to play with. As a non-professional, we have played a little bit, or maybe not if it's illegal. But the diversity just isn't there. Once again, it's and I kind of feel like, I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like the money isn't there either. It's like every time if you distill something, you get like 20% of that in product. So 5 bottles of wine makes 1 bottle of booze, basically. Finished booze products. So like, if I'm charging $20 for this, I got to charge $100 for that to have equal money as far as profits go. And I couldn't make the math work on that. I know the math works in beer.
Math works in beer
and the volumes there almost always in beer.
If you're if you're not wholesaling.
Wholesaling is rough.
So then you have to have tap rooms. You have to have these tasting rooms where you have a bunch of drunks hanging out, which is fun. But to own,
and people expect you to have a pub like you could eat. So
you got to have a restaurant,
you have
bro.
to own a restaurant.
Oh, it's a nightmare, right? Like you're gonna have you're gonna have 20 employees in that sucker, and it's like it's not a tasting room. A tasting room, you can have a couple employees, and people do a wine tasting, then they go home. Or they go to the next winery. They don't sit there and expect you to have a full kitchen and have all this.
For most people, it's not a bar all night.
They don't. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a bar, and well, it isn't a bar. It's a tasting room. It's different, right? So, and then like you said, the number of varieties, like I said, and then the number of on the other end with the ability for tasting and exploration in that direction can keep a person interested for 15 lifetimes.
Right.
If you want to really get into like tasting wines, holy crap, you can really get into it. And then on the money side, I think those are 3 really good reasons why. Also on that money side, people who drink wine, you'll say like, well, why? There's more competition in wines. Like if you go to the supermarket, there's 5,000 wines and there's like 14 beers and there's 7 whiskeys.
Right.
There's 5,000 wines you're competing with. Well, let me tell you something. Wine drinkers love trying all sorts of different new stuff.
Right.
There's a bunch of beer drinkers who say, you know what, I got my beer that I like and I'm not going to go away from that one. And then also whiskey. People get stuck on a certain whiskey or a certain gin, and it's really hard. I mean, even me, it's hard to move away from that one gin that I know. I love that Hendrix, man. Like, am I really going to move away from that? And I mean, I'm even trying to make well, we'll leave that for another day. But yeah, well, with wine,
if you were to make one, hypothetically,
if I were to make one,
I'd try to be in the style of a Hendrix.
Very similar to Hendrix, yes. I mean, I just, I like the aspects and how they've pulled that off, and we've been relatively successful. So anyway, but which we have not. I've never made it. I've never made a gin.
Allegedly.
I've never made a gin. So, but yes, I think for all those reasons, even me when I'm picking wines, I want 5,000 different wines in there to pick from too, and I'll try a different one every single time. I'm never going to buy the same one again. So, you get to all of them. You'll get to all of them. Everybody gets bought at some point because everybody's interested. Wine drinkers are interested in trying.
That's true, huh?
The one they haven't tried. Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, I was supposed to remind you, buy a bottle, plant a tree. Michelle was telling me something, but I can't tell what it is. All right. Buy a bottle, plant a tree. At Vivac, we're planting a tree for every bottle you guys buy, which is awesome. We're finally carbon. Well, we will be carbon negative by the time when these trees get a year in the ground or something like that. But for now, we're doing our best to just be carbon neutral and hopefully carbon negative here soon. And
cheers to that.
Cheers.
Cheers to that. And can I say one more thing?
Yeah, it's your show.
Thank you everybody for watching the show, and I love this show, and I'm honored to be on it again, and I hope to be on it more often in the future. We'll see. We'll run that idea by Michelle, but this feels great, and having a great time, and cheers to you guys, and cheers to you.
Cheers, and it's the 1-year anniversary next week, so we will have been running this for 52 straight weeks, although we did run reruns 3 or 4 times. So I think we're like, oh well, this is episode 50. Oh, I never said that.
Episode 50.
Episode 50. So April 1st starts our wine club wine tasting. I don't know what that means. First Thursday of on April 1st, we will be on the show starting April 1st.
Yes.
We'll be drinking the wine on the first show of the month that we're going to release to the wine club. So, for your information, I don't know. We'll tell you anyway. Although I'm not going to tell you right now what we're tasting next week because I don't know. So, anyway, cheers, guys.
Cheers.